Hi guys, Spartan765 here today. I'm doing a video review on a very rare pistol that I just bought today. I'm not going to say it's in the top of the list as rare, but it's pretty damn rare. First one I've ever seen in person. And that is the Schwarzlose 1909. Right here. Now, this is a 32 ACP or 7.65 Browning. Would be the metric caliber conversion. These are made in Germany, Berlin, by Schwarzlose. Schwarzlose was a weapons manufacturer in Germany. They made little pistols like this, but they're more popularly known for their machine guns, like the MG08, and other, more military type weapons. But they did produce a small line of a batch of about 10,000 of these between 1908 and 1911. Now, you look at 10,000 produced between that, what is that, 8, 9, 10, 11, 3-year period. That's, yeah, for commercial production back then, they obviously weren't kicking them out as fast as they could. They weren't making them as slow as they could. These were mainly sold commercially in Europe, from what I read. There was a small little bit of them that were imported in the United States with intent for U.S. sale. There were also some police agencies that utilized these. From what I read, they tried getting some military contracts and they just failed epically. One reason is okay, I'm going to point out the very unique feature about this gun. This is one of like 2 or 3 commercially sold, or back in the day, even to this day, there's only been like 2 or 3 commercially semi-successful blow forward pistols. And when I say blow forward, instead of the slide moving back when it recoils, or when it fires, and the recoil moves the slide back, this weapon, the slide moves forward like this. Kicks a round out of the magazine, and then the round goes in. It's a blow forward pistol. Very unique design, very interesting, very innovative. At the time, obviously, the early 1900s, semi-automatic pistols were in their infancy. They've only really been around at that point in time for like what? I don't know. 15 years, really? 10, 15 years. The C93 was the first practical, commercially semi-successful. The C93 Borchardt was the first practical, semi-commercially successful pistol. So this came out, what, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years, whatever, after that did. So still in their infancy. This gun here is a single action only, obviously. One very interesting feature about this gun, other than the blow forward, is its front grip safety. Now this here is a beast. I mean, if you had to compare this to a trigger pull, you're probably putting, I'd say about 12 pounds, 15 pounds, probably 12 pounds of force down on this grip safety here to hold the gun to where you can, draw the gun and then fire. So what Schwarzlose did is he realized that was really going to hurt the accuracy of the gun. Not that the gun's that accurate to begin with because it's a little gut gun pistol, but there's a little button on the side here. Now what you do is you pull this button up, press this safety down, release the button, and it locks the grip safety down. So if you're going to the range and you want to try and shoot, take your time, you can very easily. But then the downside of that is there's no safety on this gun. There's no external manual safety or anything like that. So once you do that, the safety's disabled. And it's just, pretty much like a Glock, but without a trigger safety. That's a really horrible way to describe it. But there's no safety of any kind. As far as the internal safety, which just prevents the gun from firing out a battery. That's it. Okay. Now, there are 3 versions of the 1909 that I could find. There's the standard version, which just had this button here. There was the deluxe version, or the standard version was blued. The deluxe version, which had the button here, and you can see there's this little cutout right here where it looks like there was supposed to be something. That was for a manual safety. The third version was that manual safety version that was imported in the United States. Now, obviously, these were made on the same line at the same time as the ones that were being imported in the United States, the Type 1 and Type 2. This one here, which really kind of got me wondering, and I was looking at it, is if you've ever seen a Schwarzlose before, I'm sure most of you have noticed or seen them online anyway, that this rear sight is, or this rear part of the frame is not supposed to be flat. There's supposed to be like a cup here. There's supposed to be some kind of wings that come up and around, and a nicely cut out rear sight. So that had me wondering right away, wait a minute, is this something that somebody took and bastardized or something? Turns out no. The deluxe version, which is the version that this is, was nickel plated and just had this little tiny etching right there for a rear sight. So that's kind of odd, but that's what this turns out to be. The deluxe version was something that was sold primarily in Europe. It's more of a pocket carry gun. It was considered a step up from the standard because it was nickel plated. Obviously, this one has been professionally refinished. The bluing on it's phenomenal. It was done very nicely. You know, obviously, this gun being over 100 years old. What is it, 110 years old now, probably? Oh, what is it? It's probably 106, 107, however old it is. About that time period. Nickel plating back then was horrible, and it still is today. I'm not a fan of nickel plating at all. So you can imagine a gun that old, the nickel plating was probably mostly flaked off, if not partially flaked off and looking really cruddy. So the previous owner probably took this guy and had it refinished. And it looks fairly nice. One kind of nice thing about the Schwarzloses that's kind of cool, actually. Sorry for the really bad lighting, guys. I'm doing this on my phone. Is you see it says Schwarzlose, and then it shows a picture of an MG08 right there. And like I said, Schwarzlose manufactured a lot of... they had a lot of military contracts for, you know, different rifles and machine guns and stuff. But they also did their civilian line, and they, like I said, they had, from what I read, several police agencies also utilized these, which is kind of neat. It has your 7-round box magazine, and I was hoping to maybe find another magazine, but I'm sure if I found another magazine for this thing, it would probably cost like $300, so I'm not even going to look. Not like I'm going to carry this thing ever. From what I've read, what I've heard, if you want to watch a good video on info on this gun, how to take it apart and stuff, forgotten weapons, he has a great video on that. But yeah, this is very interesting little gun. I mean, for a blow forward pistol, saw this in a gun shop. You know, I went in there to look for a holster, and lo and behold, I saw this, and I just about shit my pants. I'm like, holy shit, it's a Schwarzlose. And I just had to have the damn thing. So I purged and probably spent, I paid $800 for it. And, you know, that's probably a little bit under what I could sell it for. I could probably get about a $900, maybe just a little bit more out of this thing. If it had the original nickel finish, 100%, perfect condition, easily $1,500. But that's impossible for nickel plating, unless this thing was kept in a fucking old new t-shirt in a drawer somewhere for 100 years. But yeah, I mean, this gun, right as it sits about $900 gun. These, obviously, 10,000 of them being made. Hardly any were imported in the United States. This one was not an import model. This was one that was either purchased over in Europe or a war bring back or something. Like, I'm guessing either World War I bring back or World War II bring back, because this is not a U.S. imported one, which makes it, in my mind, to be in the U.S. a little bit more rare than one of the import ones, which is kind of neat, you know. Maybe it has a story behind it, you know. Who knows? Some USGI could have picked this up in World War I off of a Kraut or dead German, or World War II. Who knows, you know. As far as the barrel goes on this guy, the rifling is very strong. Lands and grooves are nice and sharp. There is some minor pitting in there. I wouldn't even call it pitting. I just call it frosting with a couple pits. You know, but on a 106-year-old gun, that can be expected. The crown is very nice. Yeah, you guys probably can't even see that, but I don't know. I haven't really cleaned it yet. I'm going to take it fully apart and get her all cleaned up. Take her to the range this weekend, see how it does. And now this particular gun, just because it's so old, and it is very collectible, or fairly collectible, I'm probably only going to put about, I don't know, 30 rounds downrange of this thing, just to make sure it functions right, get her home cleaner, and this will probably be a safe queen, you know, like just something that sits in the safe. Maybe a couple years down the road or whenever, if I have you know, a few buddies over, someone who's really interested might shoot it again. But this is something here that parts for this thing are impossible to find. So if something breaks on it, you're not going to find parts. If you do, they're not going to be cheap. But anyway, that's just my quick little review. Nothing too technical. Like I said, there's hardly any information about these on there compared to other guns like Lugers or C96s. But if you want to see a really good video, it's got a lot of info in it and some shooting and a disassembly, Forgotten Weapons. His channel has a good video on that. Any comments, questions, feel free to send me a message. Spartan765 out.